of days now, but for anybody that's unfamiliar, CS Talks was developed by Corcoran Sunshine in order to offer the brokerage community give the brokerage community, unique access to some of the personalities that help contribute to our business. My name is Danica Dorsey. I'm the Senior Sales Director here, and I'm so thrilled to welcome you all to Claremont Hall. Thank you. Claremont Hall is a condominium tower designed by Robert A.M. Stern Architects and is in a very unique location. We're seated at the fabled Union Theological Seminary campus. If you haven't had a chance to look out the windows after the talk, I encourage you to do that because this location really is very unique. It's stunning. Claremont Hall is a tower condominium with 165 residences, 1 to 4 bedrooms in 2 refined palettes. We have a whole suite of lifestyle amenities and services. And some of the most iconic views you will see in New York City, and I'm not just saying that because I sell it, it's true. We have the Hudson River, the Midtown skyline, you can see Central Park, the George Washington Bridge, but uniquely in this building, even the low floor views are incredible with views of the park and of the seminary. I'm also thrilled to announce the closings have started, so please bring us your buyers. And if you have any questions about Claremont Hall after this presentation, you can ask myself, my colleague Lori, who's just here in red. Lori, if you can wave. And Alex, where's Alex? Just here in the back. So you can ask any one of us if you have questions.
Or us.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, and that is why we are here. I also want to thank Lend-Lease for hosting us here today. Lend-Lease is in the process of putting the finishing touches on our amenity spaces, and as we approach that completion, we are so happy to offer you this sneak peek opportunity to really see some of the detail that has gone into these spaces. So with that, I'd like to introduce our speakers. 2 esteemed colleagues from CetraRuddy Architecture who have worked on notable buildings such as 443 Greenwich, 1 Madison, and Walker Tower, and they've worked together to create some of these amazing spaces that you'll be seeing now. I'd like to introduce Nancy Ruddy, who is our Executive Director and Founding Partner, and Jimena Rodriguez, the Principal and Interior Designer. Principal and Director of Interior Design. I apologize, everybody. Everybody give a warm welcome to our speakers.
Thank you all for coming. And what Jimena and I are going to do is just take you through a little bit of what you're seeing, a little bit of what you've already seen, but really what our thought was about in coming into the project and working on this amazing Robert A.M. Stern building. We were brought in by Lend-Lease because we have this very prestigious building, and we looked at it and felt it's prestigious, it has provenance, it's about history, but wanted it to feel forward-thinking for who the buyer would be. We don't want it to be our grandmother's apartments. So we came in and worked with Lend-Lease and the other development partners and directly with Ramza, and it was really an amazing project. And I can say is that, for us, every one of our projects is our favorite child, but this project is truly extraordinary. When Jimena and I came up to see the building, it was a rainy, cold, damp day, and I felt like I was going into Hogwarts in a way. But the Union Theological Seminary is one of New York and Manhattan's great landmarks, and this building is so extraordinary, and I'm not here to sell, but I'm just telling you our experience of the building as architects and interior designers is that you were within the cloister of the Union Theological Seminary, and I just kept thinking, can you imagine coming home from work after one of these horrible days you've had, or one of these great days, and you walk in and you have this quad and you're transformed to the most beautiful university campus, whether, that really emulates British campuses and Harvard and all of that, and that you come off the city street and then you're in this history. So what we did is, and this is the site, you all come up here and you'll walk through, but there are landmarks all around us, and there are, and as was said, you're within a landmark district, but you have these extraordinary views of a new building. And so it was very intriguing to us. So in thinking about how do we approach a project like this, and the building was literally underway and being designed, and how do we coordinate with two big personalities, the Union Theological Seminary and Robert A.M. Stern, two amazing partners that we had. So basically, this is the site, and as you know, the cloister in the bottom was what really blew us away. And I think the developers, as a as a venture in getting the main entrance to the building on the quad was really brilliant, because how often do you get that in any city, but especially in New York City? And out every window, there is just really exquisite landmarks. So what we did is, after visiting the building, we really studied what the architecture of the Union Theological Seminary was. And it was a real adventure for us. We were able to walk through the building and really get a sense of the magic of the Union Theological Seminary and the architecture. And the architecture is Gothic Revival, which our building is referential to it, but it's slightly more formal, in a way that we understand better. But in studying what Gothic Revival was, defined as, and how the Landmark Commission, describes it, is that it's very eclectic. And when Gothic Revival came into being in the United States in the late 1800s, our building is from the Union Theological Seminary. It was built in 1928, but it was done in the Gothic Revival style. It was a time when people were tired of being very straight-laced and going by the rules. And so people were putting interesting things together and not being totally stylistic. And so these are images not of our building, but of really touch points that we found about this era. And so it has tradition, and what I can say is that the building has those sensibilities, and we as interior designers in the public spaces try to get that idea while being, tipping our hat to the provenance, but looking forward. And these are, when we design, we come up with words that we design to. And on all of our work walls and all of our workstations, we have these images and words pinned up. And it's one of the things that I do in the firm, that we try to develop what is the journey that we're going to go on, and what are we going to design to. And I think the thing about our work, and clearly this building, is that it's not about style or fashion in interior design, but it's finding the content. And then once you find that seed of what you want to design to, never forget it. You can't say, we have designers who show Jimena and I a fabric, and I'll say, well, what is it about this fabric that you think is right? And they say, I love it, or or it's pretty. And excuse me, I just got back from Italy, 3 weeks, only person who went to Sicily and got bronchitis. So I'm just getting over it. So so forgive me, but I have some juice.
You okay?
Would you mind? No. My bag, my black bag, I have some lozenges in there. So, but anyway, the idea is that to us as interior designers, it's about the content, and it's about creating an experience and magic. So these are the words that we sort of put together. Traditional yet rebellious in attitude. And if you look at the two chairs, we see the only furniture in the whole lobby. We have this very traditional lobby here, but the chairs are Parisian from the 20s, and they're from the era of when the Union Theological Seminary was built. So that's a way where, and I think and I'm talking now as an avid lover of art and architecture, but for you all, when you think about the people that you bring here, there's an amazing sensibility and a sense of history that I think you will feel when we finished all of these public spaces. Gothic revival was very romantic and mysterious, yet there was a boldness and a lavishness about it. And so you can see a little bit of the fabrics in the dining area and our pre-function area, but the materials that you're going to see when we finish is everything is tactile, lush, a little over the top in certain ways, and I think that the people who want to live here want that tradition and that solidity of a Ramsay building, but also it's about who they are. You know, it's not going to be all 80-year-olds who are going to live here. So yeah, maybe, but if they want to live here, we have a sales team for that. So extravagant, deep woods. What's been used here is walnut and oak that has a walnut finish. So the idea of bringing in pattern with wood, jewel tone, all of the colors in here are warm and rich, and that jewel tone color, which is so perfect for the Union Theological Seminary and for this Ramsay building. And tactile, I mentioned, and then that sense of verticality. There's a lot of millwork. There's a lot of horizontal wainscot that Ramsay put into the building, which is beautiful. And what we've done with our work is try to go vertical in between all of that to give you that sense of height. So that was our driving force. I was about to say, let's go to the next slide. So the amenities in the building are, which is called the amenity collection, it starts when you walk in the door. There's amenities on the first floor, on the second and third floor, and on the 8th floor. So there is a lot of variety of where you can be when you're not in your apartment. And the idea was really to create a village within the building so that you really have options for grown-up activities, for children's activities. So I don't want to spend a lot of time on the plans, but just, is there a pointer on this? No. Okay. You came in the front door there, and it's a very formal lobby, which we'll talk about a little bit, which is primarily a Ramsay design, and we sort of took it to, hopefully when we get the artwork and you'll see we're adding that layer of eccentricity a little bit. And you walk down corridors, and then you're coming into the room that you're in now. That is called the study, which we're going to show you renderings and how we got to that. So going to your elevator, I think what is so wonderful is you're not going from just a formal lobby directly into an elevator lobby. You are going to walk past this room, and we made the decision not to close it off. There's going to be a beautiful sofa table here and 2 beautiful lamps that sort of give people the sense of privacy. But every day, whether you sit there or not, you're going to see the beautiful artwork, the fireplace, which will be going, and then there is the room, the next room, which is a pre-function and connector to a library private dining room, which is where the food is set up. And I think if you can see the chairs lined up on the side, we have beautiful fabric and the backs and the sides are this great pattern. So in the renderings in the brochure, we used a shorter, simpler chair because you couldn't see the room, which I was disappointed in, but I understood why we had to do it. But the chairs are tall chairs, and they're rich and great for working at home if you want to get out of your apartment or a private dinner or whatever. This pre-function area, if a resident wants to reserve the room, it's an amazing party asset. I mean, it's really like going to the Harvard Club or the Explorers Club, but you can have it right in your building, which I think is really amazing. So that's what we have on the first floor as far as amenities go. And so you walk through this space. It's not quite finished. It's architecturally finished, but we have commissioned a tapestry, sort of a Hudson River School landscape, but in a modern tapestry. It's by the same women weavers who did the tapestry at One Wall, if you've seen it. hard necklace client of ours, and we got the source, and so, and it's large, and there's gonna be other large-scale art there, and there'll be accessorized. So you're gonna get the formal Ramza design, beautifully detailed, but then a layering of accessories and artwork that I think, and to talk about the artwork, we have, in the public spaces, we have about 18 or 20 pieces of art, and Jimen and I, with Lend-Lease, have curated a collection for the residences. And it's a combination of prints, paintings, works on paper, 3D, tapestries, and so, and the hope is that you won't absorb it all the first time you're here. And it's very different. It's not like hotel art. It's personally selected. So I think that the idea of living with art in this building it was very, very important to us. And I think, you know, the people who will love a building like this, that layer of a curated art collection, I think is very, very important. It's not just for decoration. It's for the content of it. It's for the artists. There's a number of local artists, and there's urban, there's abstract, there's figurative. So I think it's going to be very exciting. So that's that. And this just shows you that these have recently come in. But in everything we're doing in the interiors is we're having burnished antique bronze. We are having some chrome for a mix of metal for some modernism, and really beautiful simple forms that are classic, that have personality and an attitude, but will not offend anyone, because the worst thing is you can walk someone into a lobby and they say, oh my God, those green chairs, I could never live in a building that has that. So I think, you know, it's gonna work out really, really beautifully. These are some of the basic materials, and this is a fiasco de Fiore de Bosco out of a quarry that has been opened up only recently in the last 2 to 3 years in Italy. I've been to the caves, and it's just really beautiful material. So instead of the classic black and white that we would see in a classic, you know, Rosario Candela building, we've added, and it's what you have underfoot, and it is a soft, I mean, it's not physically soft, but we feel it has a soft, suede quality about it that is really beautiful. And thinking that when you live in a building, you're back and forth, and you know, everything we've done, there's a modernism layered into the traditionalism, yet everything is soft, and it's not hard modernism. It's really tactile and warm. So these are some materials. So the room we're in, which is one of my favorite rooms, this is what it is going to be. The furniture is here. It's ready. It's ready. So this they're calling the study. Very exciting. So what we did throughout the building is, so you would normally say a wing chair, yes, but this is a modern wing chair, and it's a wing chair with attitude and really beautiful fabrics on it. So you see, it's that mix of the bones are very traditional with the ceilings, and this showed the ceiling white on white, and we wound up doing expressing the wood in here. But then the pieces could be from Paris, from Italy, from the best, Soho, antique store. So it's that combination of things that's warm and welcoming. And so when you come to the elevators, you're turning here, and so you will always see this, coming in and out of the building, which I think is just really, really exciting. And these are just some of the, a blow up of the furniture pieces, and people sort of always ask us, what is the process? And we specifically showed you, this is what we showed Lend-Lease. When we propose an idea, we show mood boards and the spirit that we want, and then we have to show specificity. It's nice to pick, nice pictures, but so this is how we present, and we just thought, because part of the these talks are about, what's on the inside and how we design. So we put together these boards, and then we fill our conference table, which is how long? 18 feet long, with large-scale materials, you know, so that little materials board I showed you, we have big pieces of wood and big pieces of fabric draped over our conference room, and the actual faucets and pieces of material, and seeing all of the materials together, you know, to show really what the melody is going to be of the design. So these are the pieces that are all going in that you don't see. All of the rugs are custom made only for Claremont Hall, so you're not going to be seeing, you know, these things in other development projects. It's really made to feel as though it's, you know, done by an interior designer for somebody's home. And so these are some more of the finishes that, you know, you don't see. These little chairs are in the pre-function area that you see, but you're not seeing that over. And we always, you know, people, you know, in my office when they're first working with us, they don't want to put the blue fabric over the tweed fabric, and we like to overlap it because that's how you experience the space. So this is the material where we've used leathers. They're embossed leathers, and so I think it's going to be really exciting. So we hope you'll come back. So this is the rendering that doesn't have my chairs in it. So excuse me. But this room is meant to be dining room. You know, your accountant comes and you don't want to bring them up into the apartment for family parties, for activities. So the real main event, and the windows are not cleaned because we have construction going on, but it looks out on the quad, which is really magical. And it's not just in summer, you know, in fall as the leaves start to turn, and in spring, it's beautifully landscaped. The flowers, the crocuses start coming up, and it's really, really beautiful. So we have, we decided it could, because there's so much great natural light, that we could make it a deeper color room. So, and that, truthfully, for us on development projects is always a challenge when you propose something deep in color, because clients typically want light, bright, you know. So, but we felt that this room could really take it. So the wall covering is up now, and I think it's really great. And at night, this wall covering is very sexy and very moody. It's the room where the food is. So, and here you see a mix of the chairs that you see against the wall there are very traditional. They're modern takes on medieval, you know, dining chairs with great fabric. But we have a modern light fixture that we custom designed. We have amazing artwork coming in that's even better than what you see here, sculpture. And it's a room that is very flexible, and I think that we're all looking for flexibility in our own homes and in workspace and things like that. So there's movable furniture, the tables can be pulled apart, and but everything is very curated, you know. So I think that that's what's really important. Window treatments, and these are some of our imagery. So we designed this chair, which doesn't have fabric on it, which it does now. It has a really beautiful fabric on it. And so the table can be one large table, it can be broken up, 2 ottomans under the window. And I know I'm talking too long, I should end. We have like 10 more minutes. And so this is the palette that we developed for that room. And so again, please come back when we have it all done and accessorized. So do you want to take the next, or
Sure.
Yeah.
Where would we? So as Nancy said, we have amenities throughout the building. So I'm gonna walk you through the 2nd and 3rd floors. This is when we started designing. We thought of this as being the Claremont Club. And it's where we have our health and wellness amenities and our creative spaces. So right there on the 2nd floor, when you arrive, there's a reception desk that can arrive on moment where the concierge is going to be. There's a fitness area, as you can see, that looks over the courtyard. And then we have that hallway that goes to the pool area with the locker rooms. And on the 3rd floor here, we have a movement studio that's related to our fitness center downstairs, a maker studio, a music practice room, and a kids playroom. I'll show you what all these rooms are.
And I think the thing is that, you know, and I'm sure a number of you have been part of these meetings on the development side, and about what amenities do you put into a building? And there's like certain boxes that we have to check. And in this building, because we have the seminary in the building as well, we couldn't do, you know, 100,000 square feet of amenities, you know. So Lendlease really thought really carefully, and we were very part of that conversation about who this possible purchaser would be. And what we really needed to do in a really quiet way is that think about health and wellness, not about fitness, but in solving things for your whole mind, body, spirit. So what was selected was obviously fitness center, but also things related to music. You know, we have a maker room, which is called the
Maker. The workshop.
The workshop, which Jimena's going to show you. But it's such a beautifully collated group of amenities that I think that for people who want to be up in this area, you know, and who are related to universities and all of the great stuff that's happening up here, that it's very, very curated, and I think it's really exciting. So it's not quantity, it's the quality and what those elements are that we have.
So, this is like, the first space we're gonna talk, I'll show you is gonna be the pool. But as Nancy said, we first came to visit the building, and this is the old refectory, which is the space that remained, that has been renovated. And the first time we walked in here, it was an amazing space, but it was, you know, a little neglected. It used to be where the seminary had dining, like large meetings. So we were very excited because this space had amazing possibilities. And we like to call this space now the crown jewel of the project. I think this is gonna be an amazing, the best swimming pool in New York City. So, you know, we started thinking, okay, we're gonna create this amazing space, but we wanna keep the spirit of the original refectory. So when we started, this is what we did as a mood inspiration when we were designing, and we thought about, you know, we were gonna keep that amazing ceiling with the wood beams and the light fixtures that we recycled, but we also wanted to infuse some lightness and, you know, modern details into it, and create really an amazing pool lounge with a real hospitality space. So this is one of our preliminary sketches as we were thinking, and I'll show you some of the details in the rendering. But, you know, we have beautiful windows, like Gothic or windows. So already you're in that space, you are looking out to the street and you can see the treetops. And then there was a fireplace in the space that we had to move, but we recreated on the other wall, and it's really, really large. And
if I could say, this was the only thing we had to beg for in the process, in that Ramsa had to put in a fire egress stair, which if we had been the architect, we would have done the same thing. But, so we had to move the fireplace. So everyone said, well, do we really need it? And the truth is that, you know,
we wanted it.
we wanted it, and we kept thinking of, can you imagine you're in this, you know, pool spa and it's snowing outside, you know, or it's raining and the fireplace is going. And so it was the only thing we didn't have to fight too hard, but we did have to fight. So I mean, that's part of, again, the process of working with a really great team like Corcoran and Lendlease and ourselves and Ramsa, where everybody, you know, gets in a room and talks about it, and you learn about what's important, you know. So anyway,
So we got the fireplace, and on the other wall where we had to build that stair, we created a feature wall with a mosaic, a custom mosaic that's inspired by Gothic patterns, but done, you know, in a modern sensibility. And we take a lot of care in how we select materials. There's a lot of texture on the tile, on the walls. There's a beautiful mosaic, glass, bronze tile, even where you have your water fountain. You know, we're thinking about all the details. And, you know, from a more practical point of view, we had to really work with a mechanical engineer to insulate this room, because this is a pool and it takes a lot of mechanical systems, the difference of temperature from the outside. So we had to build out this wall for the purpose, and even put an insulated glass window in front of the original windows. But, you know, we took really good care to integrate that as seamlessly as possible. And we also refinished and rewired all the existing lighting, and are using it back to, you know, lighting is really, really important to create the right atmosphere. So we're working on all those details.
there's just one little factoid I'd like to add, that, you know, the word refectory, it took me probably 6 months to get the word right. I kept saying, right? So that is, you know, you may all know or not know, but that's the word for dining hall in British, like Oxford, you know, or Cambridge or whatever. So so we're turning it from and that's the word that's used for dining halls from the Middle Ages. So we looked up what that word really meant, because we were having so much trouble. So the Latin root for this is to refresh, and it really meant refresh from providing meals, providing energy to people. But for us, we sort of interpreted this as we're refreshing, you know, and taking you to another world. So I thought that was sort of interesting.
So the other piece on this second floor is the fitness center, or the gymnasium, as we're calling it. And, you know, we following the same design principles that we're using throughout the building, and based on the era, we took the idea of contrast and traditional lines, but done in a cleaner, modern way. So we created these arches in front of the windows that do look into the courtyard, outline them in this like black pencil trim. We, you know, if you could see, we have very clean architecture, like in those coffer ceilings, we have very clean lines, and the idea of lighting fixtures that are, it's a take on traditional but done really modern. And even on the floor, we created like this basket weave in a vinyl floor in two-tone, so very subtle play on tone, and bronze on the enclosures. And this is the movement studio, which is on the third floor, but again, it's related and it carries the same design idea. You want to talk about it?
Oh, sure.
This is
So I know that you know, we've all seen all these amazing children's amenity spaces, and I would say 15 years ago, we used to do them very themed, you know, Alice in Wonderland, or nautical, or this or that. In the last 5 years, you know, the kids are so sophisticated, they have traveled all over the world, and we do them really simply, at a place where children's imagination can take them where they want it to go. But we were so in love with the location and the Union Theological Seminary, and I was remembering when my son, who just turned 30, if he were 4 years old, walking into his building every day through this amazing quad that you could say you're living in a castle, you know. And so we went all out. We just So this is, it's a medieval castle village, with lots of, and it's almost finished. The slide just went in and yeah, so, and we didn't have really high ceiling height, so the idea is that the castle sort of is like in a tree and it goes up through the roof, and there's all different shopping experiences, and there's nooks where, you know, children and caregivers can sit and read books, and again, watch the weather. I mean, I think for Manhattan kids, you know, yes, they may have weekends, some of them may have weekend homes, but connecting to nature, and we all know the benefits of biophilia. And so all of the windows we built out for these really cozy 2- and 3-person, you know, reading and play nooks, and and it's a real fantasy. There's the carpet is cobblestone, like in it's carpet, but like in a medieval village, and then there's a, you know, the concept of a moat and water, and you can do, you know, you can crawl into this element, you can do theater, and so there's just a lot of things that, you know, so we went all out, and we're really happy we did on this one.
And this was, you know, again, some of our inspiration ideas, our plan, and the relations when we started. So this is the workshop. Again, a space where, you know, it's wellness, but for the mind. A space where people can come and do projects or classes. We're gonna have easels. We have also, the room is long and it has separate areas. You can work as a group on a communal table, or you can work by yourself, you know, at a countertop looking out the window.
Pottery classes, still life, you know, you can do your own projects, and for the finance guy or woman, you know, who's working on that sort of thing, what a relief to come and be able to sketch or draw or do projects with your children, a messy space, and we put lots of shelves in for you know, paintings to dry and pots to dry, and projects where you can come back to with your child, you know, the next day, or.
Yeah, so, and you can see going down the rest of the space, we have shelving, we have a little counter with a sink, and then, you know, different counters for separate work areas. So that's, and then we have the rehearsal hall. I mean, the music practice room. It's not a hall. It's probably a 12 by 10 room, but again, it's a place where people can come and practice their instruments, or, you know, you can come in 2 people at a time to jam for a little while. The whole room has a felted wall, acoustical wall, so it should be a fun place to, you know, come and do your music without driving your neighbors crazy. And then the last portion of the amenities, it's on the 8th floor, and we have nice views throughout the building, but on the 8th floor they're really, really nice. We have the Park View Lounge here, and it's, you know, it's a more informal space in a way. It's where you can go up with your family. You can see there's a pantry, an island, and then there's a seating area, a lounge with a TV, and this space looks out into the terrace.
And some great fun art is coming.
Yes, and the room is, we don't have a rendering of that room, so that's gonna be more of a surprise. But it's a room that's panelized in a very pale gray color. The stone has a beautiful figured marble. And then this is some of the furniture we're doing. You know, again, similar concept to what we were doing down here. Take some traditional furniture, but, you know, done in a modern way, with a hint of Parisian or, you know, European flair. And this is a little bit of the materials, you know, the rug that we're using, There's gonna be a deep blue sofa, a jewel tone sofa, and other accents of more fun colors here. And then this is the terrace that you can go out from this room. Beautiful views of the river and the park, and very comfortable furniture, different types of furniture, so you can go and either have a quick lunch or read or work, or really just relax. And that's
it? So does anyone have any questions that they would like to ask?
Thank you. As an Upper West Sider my whole life, thank you for bringing this beautiful project. I do have a few questions, comments. One is the picture of the pool. The tiling looked very different. I don't know if that was the rendering. What is the pool tiling?
inside the pool.
Yeah.
It's a mosaic.
It's a mosaic inside, is that?
Yes.
Inside, it's a
Beautiful.
it's a glass mosaic.
Absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
Second comment is, the lobby area from the rendering. I know you said you have limited availability of the amenity space, but it looks like you put in a very large package room, which I think is key. So many of the buildings right now are cutting on that, especially in this neighborhood. I think there's, with the Amazon packages and everything, so kudos for that. And my last question is, on the 8th floor, is there a public restroom on that level?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
On all of the amenity levels, and including, like this floor as well, there's a lot of residential buildings that don't have a restroom on the first floor, and so there's a powder room here, because the idea is that we want all of these spaces to be activated and people to use them. We don't want them to be like these empty rooms. So the idea of having to go back to your apartment on the 28th floor is not good, and especially if you're with a child. So wherever there's public space, there are powder rooms. Thank you. Yeah.
What do you think about like the over-incorporation of amenity spaces? Like you see these buildings now, like 100,000 square feet, like kind of like what is our limit before it's just, they're empty rooms, is how I feel every time I'm walking through like enormous buildings. Like this was a little more intentional. Do you have any thoughts on that? Just in terms of, do you put everything in, or do you go a little more intentional and make it a little smaller?
Well, I think the first question one asks is, who is the demographic? And I think that we're all grappling with this post-COVID, or we hope sort of post-COVID time right now, of the reality of people are working hybrid work schedules. So if it was 5 years ago, you know, there was a race on how much square footage you could have. But I think now it's needed more, because if you work, you know, if you work from home 2 days a week or 5 days a week, people really want to get out of their apartments, and isn't it nice to not have to, on a rainy day or a cold day or a really hot day, go someplace else, but you can, and that's why I called it a village, you know. So I think it really depends on who the demographic is, and typically condominiums have less square footage than rental buildings. I mean, that's what we see, but it could be the way, you know, a building is defining itself, you know, and every developer rightfully wants to figure out how to position themselves. And for us, you know, we sit at the table for these discussions, and, you know, great firms like Corcoran have the list of what they want to do, and, you know, if we did everything that they wanted to do, we wanted to do, we'd have no apartments left. But I think the thing is to really think about, we research what's going on, not just in New York, but nationally and internationally. You know, it's like I just got back from a trip. I wasn't living on a beach. I was really looking at what people are doing internationally. So I think to find something that has meaning for your prospective purchaser is the most important thing. I don't think there's any right and wrong on that. So what is your thought?
I think people put a lot of focus on amenities when they're searching, and then I don't think they use them as much as they tell you they're going to use them.
Right.
Like, I'm not sure how many of my clients have used the bowling alley. I think they want to, but I don't think they do.
Right.
That's just my
Yeah.
take.
I agree. Yes.
Nancy, do you have a time frame as to when everything will be completed?
Yeah, we're hoping that late fall or early, you know, before the major between Thanksgiving and Christmas is when the goal is, and construction's been going really well, and a lot of what we've shown you is sitting here in New York, you know, waiting to be delivered, so, yeah.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions for our panelists? Yes.
Robin was so great talking about the storage. Is there cold storage for like, Amazon or Fresh Direct deliveries?
No cold storage.
Okay.
The reason, yeah.
People don't use that as much anymore because you
Yeah.
can time your deliveries, so our surveys with building management have been that it's not as used anymore as it once was.
And the other thing is, you know, in addition to the timed, and the truth is, we need room for the Amazon boxes more than cold storage, and because it's time. But the other thing is, in a building like this that has a high level of service personnel, I mean, you can arrange to have a package brought up if you know, so.
I just want to say I live in a very low-tech building, and the minute something like perishable comes in, they put it in the staff refrigerator. So you can always put a refrigerator in there.
Anybody else?
I just wanted to clarify, you're talking about this Thanksgiving and Christmas. not-
Yes, oh, yeah.
Almost done.
Oh, no, it's way advanced up
Oh,
there.
yes, I'm sorry, yeah. And we've had closings already. I mean, the response has been amazing because there isn't really anything like this nearby. And I know that we do work at Columbia, and Columbia is very jealous, you know, and they're concerned about, we're doing a new building for faculty housing there. And they're very worried about this building because some of their, you know, key people are saying, why go into a Columbia project when I can have this service and this beautiful, well, our design will be very nice, but it won't be like this.
So the same arguments for the housing office, they should certainly be buying more residences.
So while I have you, one thing I will say is if you have experience in new development, I think it's so wonderful that closings have just started and the amenities are going to be available within a matter of, 4 or 6 weeks, something like that. They're very, very close to completion. So this lifestyle that we keep on talking about is going to be a reality very soon for all of your buyers.
Yeah, and to add on to that is, I know you all know, and we all know, that all of the renderings you see in brochures and websites say artist rendering, which is a way to protect, if something has to change. But we can tell you as the interior designer that everything we've shown you is exactly the way it's going to be. There was no cutting corners here. So, and that's very, very exciting. So everything you see when you come back in, early December, it's going to look like this.
Can I ask one last quick question? Because I came here on a tour in the late summer, which was very exciting too, because we got to see the pool area. Am I misremembering, or is the pool also able to be covered over?
Yes,
Yes.
So you can also cover it over?
yes.
For the events or dancing?
Yes, and that was part of something that we, went through with the seminary. They wanted to have the ability of still have their large meetings in that room. So we figured out a way, a system that the pool can be covered so that an event can happen on it.
And if any of you have seen the amazing movie It's a Wonderful Life with James Stewart, and where he's dancing and suddenly the pool opens up and they fall in.
That's not gonna happen.
That's not the system. That's not the system we're using. It's a series of long planks that are hidden under the window seats and very calibrated. So.
All right. We'd love to give a final thank you to Jimena Rodriguez and to Nancy Ruddy for their time today. If anybody has any questions, please find them and ask a member of our team. And thank you so much for coming.
And this goes to my partner, Jimena, who has.
Look.
Yes.